It was supposed to be a peaceful day on the water. A mother and her 7-year-old daughter had packed snacks, life vests, and their little tackle box, ready for a calm afternoon of bonding on a quiet lake just outside town. The sky was clear, the wind soft, and the lake looked like glass. Locals who passed by remembered seeing the two smiling as they pushed their small boat off the dock. But by sunset, something felt off. When the boat didn't return and calls went unanswered, a search began that night. Only the mother's hat was found near a cluster of reeds. Days later, authorities declared them lost to the water. No bodies, no wreckage, just silence and a growing ache in the community. 8 months later, life had moved on for most, but the lake, still and silent, hadn't forgotten. Then, early one foggy morning, a seasoned fisherman named Dale noticed something odd near the same reeds where the hat was found. A strange flicker of light beneath the surface, like something metallic catching the sun. Curious, he slowed his boat and moved in closer. What he saw left him frozen, his hand trembling over the throttle. It wasn't just debris, it was something no one had ever reported. Something no one expected, and it would change everything people thought they knew about that day. What did Dale really see under the water? And why was it hidden for so long? The answer begins to surface in the most unexpected way. Dale didn't speak to anyone that first day. What he saw under the water, just a glimpse, had unsettled him too much. It looked like part of a child's rain boot, pink with a faded cartoon sticker caught between some branches just below the surface. But the strange part wasn't the boot, it was the object next to it, something that shimmered silver, almost like a bracelet. Dale remembered the girl always wore one, a charm bracelet with little fish and stars. His hands shook as he pulled his boat away, deciding to come back when he could think straight. News of the mother and daughter's disappearance had once gripped the town. Their names, Sarah and Emily, were printed on flyers, shown on local TV, and spoken in every shop and diner for weeks. Sarah was a nurse, well-known and kind, while little Emily was full of questions and always humming. The community mourned. A memorial was held by the lake, with flowers tossed into the water. Everyone assumed a tragic accident. The boat must have tipped. They thought the lake had taken them quietly, but Dale's sighting brought back whispers. Some folks started to question things they'd dismissed before: the odd scratch marks found on the old boat seat, the way the dog that belonged to a nearby cabin owner kept barking at the water for days. Dale returned to the reeds the next evening, flashlight in hand. He couldn't shake the feeling something was waiting there. And deep down, he knew this wasn't just an accident. The next few days, Dale couldn't focus on anything else. That image haunted him: the little boot, the silver charm swaying beneath the murky surface. He returned every morning before sunrise, slowly paddling near the spot, hoping the water would give up more secrets. But the lake stayed quiet, still as ever, as if it didn't want to be disturbed. Rumors started again in town, especially when Dale quietly asked the local deputy if the case had ever really been closed. The deputy just gave him a tired look and said, "Sometimes people don't want answers, Dale. They want peace." But not everyone was so eager to forget. Emily's aunt, Rachel, had always doubted the story. She said Sarah knew that lake too. Well, there's no way she'd have let the boat drift into deep waters without a life jacket on Emily. Rachel had once told police that Sarah mentioned a strange man near their cabin a week before they vanished. No one followed up back then. But now, that memory felt heavier. Meanwhile, Dale wasn't the only one watching the lake. Someone had been following him. At first, it was small signs of broken branch, fresh footprints near his dock. Then, one morning, he found a message scratched into the side of his boat: "Stop digging." Dale knew then this was bigger than he thought. Someone was hiding something. And whatever happened that day on the fishing trip wasn't just a tragic accident. It was something someone didn't want uncovered. Dale couldn't sleep anymore. Every creak outside his cabin made him jump. The warning scratched into his boat. Stayed in his mind like a bad dream. But something inside him told him he was close to close for whoever was watching. He dug out Sarah's old fishing trip photos from a local archive, hoping to spot something, anything, out of place. One image caught his eye. In the background, far behind Sarah and Emily smiling by the water, was a shadowy figure near the tree. Line zoomed in, it was grainy, but the outline of a man holding something. Long, possibly a walking stick or even a rifle, stood out, Rachel confirmed. It wasn't anyone from the family or staff at the lake lodge. That same evening, Dale drove back out to the lake, flashlight in hand. The fog hung low, thick and silent. He reached the same spot where he first saw the boot and dropped anchor. Then he heard its branches cracking on the shore. Someone was there. His flashlight flicked toward the sound, but nothing. Silence again. The hairs on his neck stood up. Then something floated toward his boat, half sunken and tangled in weeds. It wasn't a branch. It looked like fabric. As he reached out with a pole, the beam of his flashlight caught a shimmer metal, maybe jewelry. His heart pounded. This was it. But before he could pull it closer, a loud splash sounded behind him. He spun around, light shaking, but saw no one. The lake had gone still again. To still. Dale's breath caught in his throat as he scanned the dark water, the beam from his flashlight bouncing across the lake's rippling surface. The object had drifted out of reach, swallowed by the fog. He gripped the edge of the boat, heart racing, when he heard something new, a soft, mechanical click. It came from the nearby trees, too deliberate to be natural. It wasn't just someone watching him. Someone was recording. He paddled back fast, the chill in the air now crawling down his spine. When he reached the dock, his lantern revealed fresh boot prints in the damp mud larger than his own. But what really stopped him cold was what had been left hanging from his cabin door. Emily's other pink rain boot, now dry and clean, placed neatly like someone was delivering a message. Dale didn't touch it. He just stared, trying to process what it meant. If this was the same boot from the lake, who had it tanned? Why return it now? He contacted Rachel and told her everything. She showed up that same night, holding something he never expected, Sarah's old diary. She'd never shared it with police. In the final entries, Sarah had written about a man she believed was stalking them, someone she met once at the lodge who claimed to know her from years ago. She described his voice, his smell, even a scar on his hand. The details matched someone from the town's past, someone long thought dead. And that changed everything. Rachel and Dale sat in silence inside the dimly lit cabin. The diary opened between them. Rain tapped against the windows like a ticking clock. The man Sarah described wasn't just a stranger, he was Walter Griggs, a former groundskeeper from the old fishing lodge. Years ago, he had vanished after being let go for inappropriate behavior toward guests. No one ever saw him again. Until now, determined to confront the truth. Dale and Rachel followed the trail Sarah hinted at, an abandoned shack deep in the woods, once used by the lodge's maintenance crew. As they approached, they noticed something chilling. Smoke rising. From the rusted chimney, someone was inside. Dale gripped his flashlight tightly and stepped in first. What they found stopped them cold. Maps of the lake, photos of Sarah and Emily fishing dated days before the accident, tanned a worn pink. Life jacket tucked neatly in the corner. Suddenly, a shadow moved behind them. Walter, gaunt and wild-eyed, stood in the doorway. "They were never meant to leave," he muttered, stepping closer. But just as Rachel screamed, the floorboards groaned and a figure stepped forward from a back room. It was Emily, alive. The Twist wasn't just that Emily had survived, it was that Walter believed Sarah was bringing her there willingly. He'd manipulated the entire event to protect Emily, thinking Sarah was in danger. Sarah had fought him off long enough to hide her daughter in the forest and leave clues behind. But no one had followed the trail until now. Emily clung tightly to Rachel, her small hands trembling but her eyes wide open, alert. Dale quickly called for help as Walter was held in place, muttering to himself about protection and promises. The authorities arrived within the hour, arresting him and securing the hidden shack. Emily was rushed to the hospital, where she was found malnourished but otherwise unharmed. She had survived all those months alone in the forest, following her mother's last instructions and clinging to the hope someone would find her. Rachel sat beside Emily's hospital bed, reading to her softly as doctors and detectives worked. In the background, the mystery that had haunted the town. The girl and her mom, who vanished on a fishing trip, had finally found light. Sarah's final act had been one of love and bravery. Her body was never recovered, but her diary and the trail she left behind became the key to bringing Emily home. The story spread quickly, drawing national attention. Fishermen who once dismissed the lake as cursed now paid quiet tribute to the mother who fought to protect her child. Locals brought flowers to the water's edge. Dale, still shaken but grateful, often returned to the spot where he'd first seen the glint of pink on the shoreland.